Okay, today I have Deanna Marie, and Deanna is a life coach and works with women whose loved ones have been in addiction. Deanna Marie herself was in a relationship for 20 years with an alcoholic, so I can't think of anybody better to speak to. So thank you so much for being with me today, Deanna.
Thank you so much for having me, Emma.
It's an absolute pleasure and such an important topic. Tell me about what you do and how you got there.
Well, I actually got here because of my own personal experience of being married to an alcoholic for 20 years, and that was about 20 years ago. And at that point in time, I was in my mid 30s and looking for help. And I had done the traditional resources of Al Anon and therapy, but they were not really giving me what I was looking for at that point in my life. And that was really just to have someone to talk to and actually tell me what the next step would be that could help me in certain situations in my relationship. As far as therapists, obviously they're trained not to tell you what to do. They're there for more for you to figure out your own perspective and insight. And I went to many therapists, and I had one incredible therapist who helped me a lot. And I also went to Al Anon, who people are all there to share, but nobody really says to you, well, okay, well, next time your husband does this, then maybe you should try this. And if that doesn't work, let's try this. And it's just like, I just wanted someone really to tell me what to do. And if not tell me what to do, like tell me how I could reduce the misery that I was in. And I never found that resource. So at that point in time, I said to myself in my corporate career that if I ever got to a point that I could start helping these partners of alcoholics to to find a way to get out of the stress and overwhelm that you feel every day in the future, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I did. I got certified as a life coach at the end of my corporate career. And now I'm just here to help all women who are struggling in their alcoholic relationship and let them know that you do not have to live like this one day longer than you choose to.
And that's absolutely amazing. And as we briefly said before, I think it's so important because yes, there is Al-Anon, but it's so structured
Mhm.
and routine. It's great that it's there for people, but sometimes you just need a sounding board and you just need
Yes.
to say, can you just help? What do I
Yeah.
do?
Yes.
And so I think that is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, because that's what I wanted. Like, just tell me, like, even with my therapist, like, just tell me what I should do. And that's not what they're supposed to do. I mean, some will, of course, everybody has their different style, but typically they don't. And at that point, at that point, a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, it was like somebody just help me because at that point in time, I wasn't leaving my relationship. So I just wanted to just learn how to handle life with him so that I could feel happier and be a better mother, coworker, wife, whatever. That's what I was looking for at that time.
And I think that's a really good point because not only are you dealing with the stress of not knowing how to handle the person who's drinking and on eggshells with them, not knowing how they're going to wake up in the morning or come home in what mood. Not only
Yeah.
do you have that, you're still juggling the house, the bills, the
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
work, and you might not be able to face what might happen in a relationship. You
Right.
might just need to say, look, I've got these bills mounting up. Where do I start? Or
Right.
just can't cope with the kids at the moment. It's and sometimes when the addict is so prevalent in your life, sometimes you don't want to talk about it. You want to talk about something completely different that's stressing you without being reminded of it all the time.
Absolutely, because if you if you do bring it up And most of the time, at least for myself, you bring it up in a way that's either judgmental or condemning of the other person because I wasn't educated in how I should really approach my husband in my relationship in my 30s. Now I know what I should do. But you're right, because when you do talk about it, then it's confrontational. It just adds more stress and chaos to your life. So you're like, I'm not even going to touch this subject because I'm already stressed out. And especially this time of the year, no one's ever going to talk about it because it's the holidays. Like everybody is just white knuckling it to get through the new year. And it is, you don't want to talk about it. You want to wait for the perfect time until I can finally talk about it and think about it and have some room to breathe. But unfortunately, that's not the way that life works. And there's never the perfect time. It's only the time that you decide that you want to do something different.
Yeah, so important. And it's something people just don't wake up, do they, and think, right, I've had enough. This is it. It's gonna play on their mind for a long, long time, weighing up all the options and worrying. It's a worrying time.
Yeah, and especially if you have small children involved, like I did, from the time I knew that I should have left my relationship to the time that I actually ended my relationship permanently was a period of 9 years. So I get it. There's so many women that reach out to me and they're like, they've had a bad weekend or a bad night or whatever. Like, I can't take it. I got to get out. I got to get out. And then I'm like, okay, let's follow up with the next call. And then I never hear from them again. And it's just because it's like really when you're angry, you're motivated. When you're angry or frustrated, you're motivated. But then, if they're somewhat remorseful or promise I'll never do that again, or even you have your own doubts like, oh crap, what am I going to do if I take this next step? That's a lot to bite and chew down. It's like, wow, it's my home life, it's my children's home life, it's my daycare, it's my commute to work, it's my financial situation, it's my health insurance. I mean, there's so much to it. And it's only after a period of time, in my case, 9 years, when you're like, you know what? I worked through all those things. And we were talking before we actually started this official podcast of how my style is different. And how my style is different is I take all of those single fears that you have and that's been holding you back, and we analyze every single one. Like, what is the pro of it and what is the con of it? And if there's more pros than cons at the end of the day, then maybe you should just find the best way to live in this relationship. If you're finding there's more cons than pros, then maybe we can talk phase 2 about all the fears of what that next step is. I mean, it's for me and my style and what I do, I'm never going to tell my clients what to do. I am only going to help them look at the options that they have and have them look within themselves internally on what feels right for them and how they see their future. And then they decide to take the next step.
That's brilliant. Having an external sounding board again, that's not judging, that has no investment in anything, just to help you get everything down, say on a bit of paper, out of the head, so you can properly see it and weigh it up. It it can make things a lot clearer for you then, can't it?
Yeah, when it's all out of your head and people don't, even though I tell, people to journal, my therapist years ago told me to journal, and I actually did start, and it was very therapeutic because you do just get it out of your head. And just a little quick sidebar, I've looked back at those journals within the past year and I think, oh my God, I was in crazy space because it's like you're so caught into your spider web of trauma and stress and work and overload that you can't see the forest from the trees. And like you said, if someone who's not invested, aka your girlfriends, your family, your coworkers, um, then they can step out and say, have you thought about that? And not be afraid to ask that question. Or, and just start digging deep. Like, why do you want to continue this? And if you like your reasons, then stick with it. But if you don't, then maybe we should look at that a little bit closer.
Brilliant. I think as well, I think the loved ones have a lot of misplaced guilt and shame. And if they're looking to end the relationship as well, that's just adding to it all. And working with people with that's really important as well, isn't it? That it's their loved one's addiction isn't their burden to carry.
Yeah, and I've had different clients who I was not this person, but some of my clients think, well, if I was a better cook or if I didn't yell so much, then maybe, like, I've certainly had those clients. I personally was not like that. I knew I had no responsibility for my husband's addiction. I clearly knew that even back then, before I got, I worked through my own process. But the shame that I carried was the shame of how did someone who is so smart get yourself into such a difficult position in life? Like, I was just so ashamed. Like, wow, how did I even get here? And how did I allow myself to get here? The guilt for me came in again, not because of anything with my husband, but now I have two little boys. And what have I done to them and their future? And only until you work through all of that goo can you actually leave if you like your reasons and you feel good about where you want to go.
Tell me briefly, I'm really interested. Why was it that you, from corporate to what you do now, what was that thing that made you think this is what I want to do?
Uh, It honestly was, I can actually remember exactly the tipping point for me. And the tipping point for me, it was my husband, after we had officially parted, he moved to a different state and um, he did it to avoid child support. I was trying to get child support because now I'm a single mom with a husband who's not even here to help me. And I kept trying to talk to the state that he had moved to, which was 5 states away. And what I found out is that the two states don't talk to each other when it comes to child support. So you have to file individual claims with each one, and then perhaps they'll get together, perhaps they won't. So honestly, in that frustration, at that moment of time, which was really just like, an after effect of living with an alcoholic, one of the other, problems that comes with it is I'm like, I can't stand this. Like, nobody is here to help me. My alcoholic husband is off in another state doing whatever he wants to do, drinking, living his own life, working. I didn't even know at that time. And here I am. I'm just trying to feed my kids and to get some help. And honestly, that was the tipping point. It wasn't even so much the alcoholism and the breakup, because I did have some types of support for this. It was like, okay, phase two, it's like, and now there's nobody to help me. There's not like a child support advocate for you in my state or the next state who will go after that person who owes you money. And honestly, I did get my money back, but that's only because I had to file a court case, which was more money, and take it out of his retirement because it was the only thing that he we had jointly left. And that took me 7 years. 7 years. So it's funny. It's like we're talking about how I help people now, but that was I was like, you got to be kidding. I've already gone through all of this.
Yeah.
And now I got this to deal with. And I can, I don't know, I'm sure you can see it on my face. Your listeners don't see it, but it's like, I can just remember that moment. And I'm like, this is just baloney. This is baloney. People shouldn't have to deal with this. It's already hard getting through to this part, and now they got more crap on the back end. So if I can help them in one part of it, that's what I'm going to do. So that's a very long answer, but that's exactly how I was just like, enough is enough. This is these women, and then there's men too, obviously. These family members are the collateral damage, and they need help. And after 20 years, I retired out of my corporate career. After 20 years of now having just lived my life, I have a new husband now. I go back to look for more resources. Nothing has changed in 20 years. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So that obviously came back in my belly again. And I was just like, this is what I'm doing. And here I am.
I think that's brilliant. And I love it. I love to hear the stories of um, it's obviously horrible what you've been through and stressful,
Yeah.
but it's given you so much experience and so much that you can give to others at the same time.
Yeah.
And these things are invaluable from another person. Absolutely. I've had counselors before that were textbook, and you know straight away that
Mhm.
they're talking to you from a textbook. They haven't
Yeah.
lived it, and it's just
Yeah.
not the same. But I was, from listening to what you were saying, that there's still no resources there. I'm finding that in the UK as well for
Yeah.
loved ones. And I remember when like COVID happened and it's all over the news for your health. Obviously, it was awful, people passing away, people being ill, but it took them weeks and weeks and weeks to address um, domestic violence,
Mhm.
addiction,
Yeah.
loneliness,
Yeah.
all the real, I'm trying to think of the right word, but that just got forgotten about completely.
Yeah.
And it was the first thing that came into my head when I found out about lockdown.
Mhm.
Straight away, I was worried about people's mental health, what sort of relationships there are. The homeless, with all the shops are shut, how are they going to get their alcohol and things like that?
Yep.
Because it's a
Yep.
killer.
Yeah.
So, and none of why is it that mental health is still just being, it's like it's just ignored.
Oh God, that's something that neither one of us are going to be able to unravel. But
No.
yeah, I mean, all I will say is I felt the same way that you did because, same exact things were happening in the States, with the shutdown, and then people were losing their jobs, and that created more pressure. And then because nobody could go anywhere, they stayed home and drank more. They did drugs more. They just got on each other's nerves more. And no, they're just not addressing it. It's just, I sadly, in my opinion, is the business of mental health doesn't really make a lot of money for people.
Yeah, I know exactly. I know exactly what you mean, and it's quite terrifying, really. It
Yeah.
is. But it's how do you work with people then?
How do I work with people? Basically, obviously, I hope they hear me on these podcasts that I'm on, or they can come to my website at deannamarielifecoaching.com, which is two N's. They can read more about my story, and they can follow me also on Instagram or Facebook, and it's Deanna Marie Life Coaching. So I try to make it so easy. But reach out to me. The one thing I have told everybody on all my podcasts is I am a solopreneur. I do not have a staff. I wish I did, but I don't. So if you send me a message on Facebook Messenger, I'm going to respond to you. It's not going to be my assistant. It's not going to be a bot. Like if you have a problem and you just need an answer to it, then send me a message, Instagram, Facebook, send me an email, go to my website. It's Deanna Marie life coaching at gmail.com. It's so easy and just reach out because all I really want is just these women to get support. Like they need support. Is such, like we've said multiple times, there is such a huge gap from the support of the addict or the alcoholic. There's rehab centers, day programs, day treatments, this and whatever. There's none of that for the loved ones of alcoholics. And that includes the parents of children who have addicts, I mean, it's the same case. And I know there's a couple of coaches that do that, but they need help. They need help. So that's the best way to reach out to me.
I'm wondering can what I'm thinking in my head is some people are going to listen to this again, not realizing the help that they need.
Mhm.
They're listening because they know deep down that they're frustrated, they're at their wits' end, they don't know what to do. What would you say to women that know something's not quite right and they can't put their finger on it, or they're noticing signs, this sort of thing? I'm thinking stuff along the line of maybe they're not sleeping, maybe they're stressed, maybe they're finding bottles everywhere, maybe like money's going missing. What would you say signs to look out for to then say this is when you need to reach out for help? Obviously when they're ready, but
Well, I think my answer may surprise you. And it really is to say to them, time is your most valuable asset. You can't get more time in your life. And you can wait, like I did, for 9 more years, even though you know you should have left then, 9 more years until you've just had so much more drama and stress and duress and heartache and pain put upon you. Or you can believe that it's possible that life can be better and take that first step toward change. You don't have to do anything different. You don't have to leave your relationship. You don't have to do anything different. But if you can just take the first step and just learn what you can do, little small changes that can improve your life and improve your happiness, your whole future will change. Even if you don't want to leave, that's okay. But you can make small changes and feel happier because you don't have time to be miserable for the next 40 years of your life. Now is your time to create your own happiness. You can't change them. You can only change yourself. So just break through the fear and take one step. And right now, I don't know when this is airing, Emma. I know we're very close to the end of the new year, but I actually have a first step package that I'm offering right now to my clients, and that's what it's all about. It's a buy 3 sessions, get 2 free, just because I want people to start somewhere. They don't have to join a long program. It's just start somewhere because don't let time go by. You don't know when that commodity is going to end for you.
most definitely. I'm thinking this is going to go out in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
So is that something that will still be running for everyone?
You know what? If they mention, if for your listeners here, if they mention that they heard me on Emma's podcast, Emma Louise's podcast, then I will honor that pricing because it does end at the new year on New Year's Eve, but I will honor the pricing just for your listeners.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. It is. I think even if you're unsure or you just need that neutral person to speak to, it's just the perfect place to start, you know?
Yeah, it's just someone else who's not invested and someone who's knows what you're thinking and feeling, and you don't have to explain it to them because they've lived it. And then just getting it all out and down and just weighing really, it's like, what do you want out of your life? And it doesn't, again, you don't have to turn your life upside down, but you can make the smallest of changes today just to feel better tomorrow. And then from there, once you start feeling better, decide where you want to go. You you
Well,
have autonomy.
done. You've
Yeah.
got a whole new career, a whole new purpose, helping a whole new group of people, um, remarried and everything. I think that's great.
Yeah, I'm very blessed. I mean, it was, I look at my life now and it's been so long that it just seems like sometimes a distant memory. But then when I talk to my clients, I'm just right there again. But I do want to show them it's possible. I am currently in a relationship with my husband, he treats me like a princess. I mean, and ironically, and maybe this will resonate with some of your listeners, it's like, he was so nice to me in the beginning. I didn't like it because I wasn't used to anyone being so unconditionally loving to me. It was all about what are you doing for me? And that, as we both discussed, I am the adult daughter of a child of an alcoholic. And then I married my father, right? I am the typical scenario. And now I'm breaking the cycle and I want other people to know that there's just more and you do not have to have the sins of the father. You can create your own life.
It's quite funny you saying that. I had a wonderful husband when I was young when we got together. But as my drinking got worse, he was still wonderful. He was still very supportive of me. And I divorced him because it wasn't a relationship that I wanted. And in my life at the time, I needed that chaos.
Yeah.
I obviously didn't feel like I needed that. Excuse me, sorry. I didn't feel worthy of the love, I suppose. So I completely pushed him away, got divorced, and that gave me the excuse to drink more then. And I entered the chaotic relationships,
Yeah.
but it's only now that I can see what I was doing.
Yeah, and you know, in the business of what you do, of what we both do, if people don't get the help, I have to say, like I help, and we all help in different ways, but the way I like to help is just like get it out and get it down and untangle all of those strings because whether you stay or go, it doesn't matter. But if you do decide to go, you're going and you haven't entangled that web, you're going to jump right into the same web again. And I get potential clients. Oh, why am I back in the same type of relationship? Because you didn't reconcile with yourself from that first relationship and understand really why you were there and why you stayed and why you deserve more. And so you took those old thoughts and you just jumped into the new relationship thinking it's all going to get better and nothing changes unless you change. So,
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
yeah. So
That's amazing. Do you do groups or anything like that?
actually, right now, I am just doing one-to-one coaching, But at the end of January, so this would be good to include, I am going to be offering a group coaching program. And it's going to be Reclaim Your Life for 2025. And I'm going to just take 10 people. It'll be a small group. And we are going to go through all of these skill sets that I go with my one-to-one clients, from recognizing how you got there to goal setting, well, to creating new habits, goal setting, and then transformation of just by taking steps and building confidence. So I am, yes, I'm glad you mentioned that, because yes, it is coming. I tend to start, I think January 21st is my date, but give or take a week or so.
That's fantastic because I think community and is so important, so important, and having somebody there that you can reach out to. So I think that'll be really successful. I think that's brilliant. Fantastic idea.
Yeah, and I would agree too. Like, the one thing I do for all of my clients, whether they're one-to-one or they're in a group program, is I offer 24/7 support through a texting app called Voxer, if your listeners know that. And they can reach out to me at any time. As a matter of fact, before I jump on on here, one of my clients just asked me a question, and she's in Key West on vacation right now. So I'm here. I'm here to be there for you. I'm here to support you. I am here with you every step of the way, because you're right. Community is important, to know people are in, that have your back. It's just so important. But the sad thing is, because I was one, we're afraid to talk about it because we're not getting help. And we think, well, then something's wrong with me because I'm in this relationship with an addicted person. It doesn't. We need to talk to each other. People need to talk to each other, which is why Al-Anon is great. You get people in the room, but they're not really talking to each other. They're talking at each other.
Yeah.
In therapy, you're only talking to one other person. So, and right now, if I said I'm going to hold a group in the local church, nobody would come, because everybody would be afraid of, like, oh, what's everybody going to think of me? And the fact is, who cares? It's like you're here to get support and love and understanding where you can't get it anyplace else. And I wish the online communities would be better knowing that, because you have, anonymity, but it's still not building, and I would love to see that change.
Yeah, yeah, completely. I think it's the same with like AA and NA, and I
Yep.
say to people that it's got its place,
Yes.
but try different things because you don't know what might work for you. And I think if you've been going to AA for 20 years and still need that every day, that's your new addiction and your new crutch.
Yep.
You need to get out and build your own community, your own support,
Hmm.
start experiencing life again, start living.
Yeah.
And that is all meetings are about, is people sharing their stories. It's great. You realize you're not alone,
Yep.
or the stupid things that you've done, everybody else has done. But sometimes you can leave a meeting feeling worse than when you went in,
Yeah.
because it's all sad stories. They can be quite depressing. But if you have one to one or a community that isn't structured like AA and things like
Yeah.
that, you can bounce things off each other. You can make sure the other people within your community are okay before they leave.
Yeah.
You can, there's so much more that you can do
Yeah.
rather than just be talked at, as you said, for an hour
Yeah.
and maybe leave having more questions and answers, which isn't helpful either.
Yeah. But unfortunately, they, meaning the family members of these alcoholics and addicts, they have to be brave enough just to take that first step. It's like joining any new club. Maybe you want to be a singer and you want to join a choir. It's like, this week I'll go. Oh, next week I'll go. But at some point, you just got to break through those doors and do it, and a whole new world will open up to you. Maybe you'll start singing, or maybe you'll start getting some relief that you've needed for a long time.
Definitely. And it's like our first Zoom as well, like um as a coach.
Yeah,
Really frightening getting on there to help people.
yeah.
And now we have this ability to do it all over the world and help people everywhere. Do you do in person as well?
I actually do not do in person. No, everything I do is online. My programs are all online.
I
And for
find to see,
me, no, it's just really about flexibility too, so that, yeah, I mean, look at us. You're in Wales and I'm in the States, and so it's beautiful, and we're getting this message out worldwide.
yeah, the one you're the one person with the topic that I really wanted to get out there because with everybody who's contacted me who wants to be on the podcast, nobody else has. It's all geared towards addiction. It's not geared towards the loved ones. So you are the exact person that I wanted to speak to, and I really, really appreciate that because we need more of you. We really do.
Well, and thank you so much, for having me on. And I do hope more women step forward because I have come across other women who had started the same kind of coaching clients that I have, but they're because they are so hard to capture immediately, they tend to turn on other areas. And I'm in this for the long run. Like I, I am just I am doing it because they deserve it, and I want them to know that they can have a better life. And I know we always say you can't really, will it for them, but I want them to see it is possible. It is possible, and I'm not going anywhere. And if they need help, I'm here for them.
You're not going back to corporate.
Now, oh God, no, I retired 3 years ago. I'm done. No more commute for me. No more commute for me. I like walking 50 steps into my new office, so.
I love it. It's just right next door to the bedroom. Go downstairs, shower, coffee, up to work. It's great.
Yep, yep, yep,
Extra hour in bed. I love it.
yep.
Deanna, that's just amazing. Thank you so, so much, as I said. And I will put all your links down in the description. Anything else that you want me to put down, I will. And we'll get the message out there because it is so, so important.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I mean, you're doing important work too, trying to help all these partners and also the addicts themselves, because you've lived it. It's not an easy road either. So kudos to you.
Thank you so much.